Hi everybody, welcome to Paper Wishes Vlog. I'm Lene Gehrig, and today I'm really excited to bring you from our friends at Heartfelt Creations the Large Garden Zinnias. This is the stamp, the die, and the mold. We have found that not only do they make great zinnias, because this is part of a larger collection from Heartfelt Creations, they also make wonderful sort of a daisy. So I'm going to show you that today. First of all, here's how the stamps look, and the dies like this. They come on this little sheet here, and then it has a mold right here. So if you're into paper flowers but you don't like doing a lot of shaping yourself, then this system is just perfect for you. So let's get right to it, and I'm going to show you what I have stayed up late last night doing. So this is the first card. As you can see, it makes this great sort of like Gerber daisy situation, and the center is filled with this yellow pollen material, which I'm going to show you how to use that. So let me just discuss the building of this card, and then I have another one, and then we're going to actually build a card together and make some of these using all the equipment. So for the background, I started off with a slimline card, which is 3.5 by 8.5 inches, and it comes with a coordinating envelope, so you don't have to try to source that yourself. And then for the background paper, I wanted something really rustic, so I'm using wood and texture paper pack. It's all these great wood and metal backgrounds. And then layered on top of that, see if I can find it, here it is. This is new for us. It's from hot off the press, the cutting edge dies. They're meant to go with the slimline cards. This is the circles. It's 3 by 8. So as you can see, this white die piece here, die cut piece here, nests just inside of the larger card. So I die cut that from white cardstock. Then I started off with some of these leaves or ferns right here, and this is from Bigger Leaves and Ferns, and I die cut that one right there from just a green pastel cardstock. All right, so now we're getting into the actual images here and how to make those. So I've stamped all of these as following. Okay, so here is, I started off with cherry walnut with the large stamp, and then I stamped this little ladybug. Using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I did that because I colored that little guy using alcohol pens, okay? So I couldn't use a water-based ink with that. I wanted to use one that, or rather I did want to use a water-based ink with that because I'm using alcohol pens. Remember, you want to opposites work together. And so I colored that with the dark red and then also the ice gray blend. Okay, and then once I got my backgrounds stamped here, I also stamped the little leaf with evergreen, and then I colored that in, all of these things in, using my blender brushes. Now, if you haven't gotten blender brushes, they're awesome and sort of a must-have if you're working with any kind of inks. And so I used that, this is olive green. I just added, it looks very yellow here. And it's okay if you're going outside of the edges on these because the dies are going to take care of that. So let's go here to I used the cherry walnut on the outside. Then I wanted brick red for the inside part of my flowers to cover each petal. So I just went like this and applied that cherry red all the way around here. Kind of getting it darker on the outside of the petal, that outside edge. Okay, and I'm not going to do all of these. And for these guys right here, I just did the whole thing in dark red, just like that. All right, and then I applied a little bit of yellow, and I liked to use this ombre ink pad from Hunky Dory. This is a Prism ink pad. It has 3 shades of yellow, and I just like to use that darker and middle shade kind of together. And so of course once my blossom or flower is all the way colored with red, I would just kind of make a large circle in the center so that it's actually going out there as well. And then I just left the smaller ones red. All right, so once I got those to that stage, then they were all colored. There we go. Then I added the dies. Now, as you can see, it's got this little place for the ladybug right here. And at first I thought, oh, well, they're conserving a die. Why isn't that separate? Well, it's because you want to get this flower lined up perfectly. And each one of those petals is a little bit different. So it's really nice to have that ladybug there because it sort of marks where you're going to place this flower on the blossom. So, you know, kudos to Heartfelt Creations. They know what they're doing as far as lining up those dies. So it's on there just right. I'm going to tape that down using a little bit of low tack tape. And then I did the same thing with the leaf and those little 3 small ones, okay? So then once I got it to, ran that through my die cutting machine, then what I ended up with was, here we go, these pieces right here. All right, so I've got these pieces right here, and where do we go from there? Well, when you die cut these, you might have a little bit of a white edge. So what I took was the ink pad again, and I just took the surface of that, and I just went like this on the edge there, and it kind of darkens up that edge, and it takes care of any white paper that's showing through. I did that there as well, and the same with the green. All right, so now we're ready to load up this mold. Now the mold is great because it's got 3 little tabs on it right here, and then this corner does not have a tab, and that's because that way it'll make it easy to line up. Everything just squares up perfectly, so you're not sitting here going, where do I put everything? It just squares up, and that way you have a nice tight fold. All right, so for this one you just want to place these, and I'm placing them face down. That's important. We don't want them ink side up. Placing all of these little flowers. I only did 1 leaf, but of course you would do 2 if you're going to use multiple leaves on your projects. All right, so now I'm going to take my mister. It's just got water in it, and I should take the top off, and I'm just going to lightly mist. And then I'm going to replace this right here. Everything is lining up, so it's just fitting right on there perfectly. Okay, so, oops, one of my flowers fell out. Let's try that again and not lift it up maybe. Okay. All right, now this is when we're going to bring in our die cutting machine. Now, we used it with the platform and everything and all the, when we were cutting out and using the dies, so I would have needed to use my plates and my platform and everything. But now we're going to take the platform out. We don't need that. And we're going to use the plates. And we're going to take our mold and just put it between these 2 plates, right? And we're just going to run it through here. Now, I noticed there's just like really no tension there. There's not a lot of pressure there. So I'm going to take an easy shim, okay? And these are great. You get them at Paper Wishes, and they sell so well. They're always on back order. So if you put your email in, we'll let you know when they're in stock, and grab one of these if you're into die cuttings. And we're just going to run that through. That gives it a little bit more tension. I just found that for my purposes that worked a little better. All right, now we're going to take all of this off. We're going to look in there. We can see that they have an indentation here. We're going to dump them over. All right, and we're just going to let these dry just for a few minutes, but I can show you here. See that they have that that dimension to them now, especially that leaf. That is great. And the petals, I mean the petals on the small ones there. And even our little ladybug. All right, so now we can actually use those while they're drying or waiting for those to dry just for a few minutes. I'm going to use them to build a card. So let's go back to this one. I wanted to, these petals and things are made in the exact same leaves. These petals and leaves are made in the exact same way. However, for the colors, I stamped the main blossom using cinnamon swirl ink, okay, for all of those. And then colored some of the larger one, I used Camilla Pink right here. And then I used the yellow, same ombre ink pad, to color the smaller ones yellow, and then to do the center part here, just as I showed you before, with the yellow. And these colors will be on in our gallery below the video, so you can see those. And then I formed them in the exact same way. All right, so while I'm still waiting for those to dry, I'm going to show you another use. For this one, I just made this cute little square magnet, little fridge magnet, and I used those same little flowers in the colors that I just demonstrated. And for the background here, I used these. This is a new product for us from Hot Off the Press. This is Scalloped Squares Chipboard, and also the little square chipboard. Then I also used, this is what they look like, this wonderful little yellow gingham. I covered this one, just put some glue on it and covered it with the yellow gingham. There's two sizes of gingham on these. And then I stamped this one. I used my stamping platform, which is right here. And here's a little trick I wanted to show you when stamping on chipboard like this. I just took my magnets and I just squared that up in the corner, and I pushed that down really good so that when I took my, this is Floral Greetings, this is a new stamp set from Hot Off the Press, and I took this one, what did I put on here? Where flowers bloom, so does hope, and I stamped that right up there, so that made that an easy thing to stamp. All right, and then for the little background here, the scalloped, I didn't want to cover it with paper because I thought cutting around all those scallops, so I just inked it. So I just took, this is the Evergreen ink pad, and I only had to ink it, you know, about a ½ inch in, all the way around, like that. And then when I put the square on there, it fits perfectly, and I didn't have to waste ink on the whole thing. Now, I didn't put ink on the back because I was going to put my magnets there, but you could go ahead and ink that as well. All right, so then I took the flowers that I just showed you from the mold, and I put 2 leaves here, and I used the little mini red ones, and I stacked them one on top of the other, and then added a little bit, a dot of glue, and we like to use our Cosmic Shimmer Specialist acrylic glue. Just added a little dot in there. I like to keep paper clip in mine so it doesn't clog. And just added a little bit of this yellow pollen. So let's go through those steps and I will show you how to do that. So I think everything's dry. Yep, everything's dry there. All right, so I've got my leaves and my petals. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them together, but I like using these great little tools. It's a set of ball tools for flower shaping, and we're not really going to be shaping these so much as just gluing them together and getting a little indentation in there, because you can glue them flat like was done here, or you can sort of lay them like this, offset. All right, and then while that glue is drying, you can kind of just poke that down in that foam and make an indentation. And while the glue is drying, it'll keep quite a bit of that indentation, actually. So it curves it even more, right? And I don't need to worry about doing that with any of the others. But here's some of those little flowers. Okay, I'm going to use a smaller one. And I'm going to indent that one a little more severely. There we go. All right, so for my background for my card, I have a 5 by 6.5 card, and I just added the yellow dots here. This is Dotted Duo #1 paper pack, and I used this yellow with the large dot size. And then I just took a little bit of the red and made a border. So I just took about, I don't know, that's about 3/4 of an inch strip, matted that with some white. And then I went ahead and put the greeting centered on there because I'm going to end up trimming a little bit off. This is Script Greeting Dazzle pack, and it's got all of these wonderful little sayings in this little cursive font, and it comes in silver, black, white, and gold. So I highly recommend that. I use that all the time. And then we've got this great new die. This is the Phantasma Grid. This is brand new for us from hot off the press. And this is what it looks like when it's cut out of white cardstock. And just to make that a little easier to attach, I'm going to use some sticky specs with that. And if you're not familiar with sticky specs, they're these 4 sheets with micro adhesive on there. You just drop your die cut image on there, and you rub that, and it's going to make it into a sticker. It's just genius. So that way you don't have to sit there and try to glue all those little pieces. All right, let me move that out of the way. So I'm going to start by putting my grid piece right there. Great. Sleeves out of the way. And then I'm going to put my border down here. Just going to add a couple of dots of glue, making sure I get glue on the sides there. I always like to add a little bit just where it runs off the edge. Right, and I'm going to use my little scissors. All right, I like to trim that by turning that over and trimming it even with the card edges so it has a nice, perfect fit. All right, so now we're going to go back to our blossoms here. And we've got our leaves, little tiny blossoms. I'm going to assemble all of this. Now I could put it right in the center just like that, and that would look great. Or I could put it off to the side like that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, so I'm going to think about that. But in the meantime, we're going to add the little pollen to the center of each of these blossoms. Just a really thin puddle of glue, all you need, right there. Back in there. All right, so I'm going to grab a piece of paper. And we're just going to sprinkle some of this pollen right on there. You want to get a nice coverage of that. You don't want to skimp on the pollen. The great news is that anything that's left over can just go right back in to the package, so you're not wasting any. Okay, there we go there. That back in a minute. All right, so we've got everything here ready to go. And I'm just going to kind of experiment here because that's just my design process. It might be helpful to you. See how I like it here. I like that. I like that little flower here in a little cluster. Little eye there. I like that. Now let's try it this way. Just to that corner. I like that too, but I feel like that's covering a lot of my cute little Phantasma cutting dies. So I think I know what I'm going to do now. A little bit of glue, it doesn't take a lot, right there. And because I haven't waited for this to dry here in the center, I'm just going to use my little pokey tool and just touch that center so that I know it's making contact with the background. Normally I would wait for everything to set up. Put a little bit of glue here. Tucking is always very important here when you're working with the flowers and the petals. And I think put this here, or I could put this here. Not sure. I think I like it here. Once again, using that pokey tool, I want to make that stay. And then for my cute little ladybug, I've got these great little square pieces of foam tape. Take one of these. I'm going to put that at the back of that. We're going to put that right there on that leaf. And because I've got this cluster over here, it sort of balances off over here. Okay? So that's all there is to it. And you get these great, what I kind of consider to be a nice big Gerber daisy from this Zinnia cutting die set. So there you go. Let's pull this all together here. I wanted to show you guys. Oh, I did forget to mention one of the other things I used on this card. This is a blast from the past. This is from the hot off the press vault. We still had some of these left, amazingly. This is from our paper artist cutting dies, and it has all these great little words for I love you and thanks for and thinking of me and smile, thank you, I love you. All these great little combinations of little words, and I cut them out of this suede paper, and I believe this is the Sienna suede. That's a really beautiful color, and it has a little bit of texture, so that's where that is from. All right, so did all the business. So you guys, we've got a great money saver on this little collection from Heartfelt Creations. So if you are watching us on our vlog page, then at Paper Wishes, I would encourage you just to take a look at the money saver on the right side of the screen. And we also have everything, all the products listed in the products used below the video, and there's also a gallery with photos in there. And if you click on those photos, you can see the supply list for everything. And if you're watching this on YouTube, look below the video in the description box for links to Paper Wishes and links to the money saver. And if you like our video, give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. We do lots of videos a week, and you'll find all kinds of new things to play with. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.